People are coming to Disneyland's defense with a rally in front of the Disneyland Resort today. There is an analyst prediction that the Disneyland Resort may have already lost $2.2 billion in revenue since COVID-19's closure. And out in Walt Disney World, it turns out that the theme park reservation pass system, it could extend all the way into 2022. Is it around permanently? Will we forever see it? And is part of our experience? We'll dive into all those topics and so much more. It is October 17th, 2020, and Kingdom Report Live, it starts right now.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Beginning as always, as we do with that live look outside at the Disneyland Resort via the HojoAnaheim.com Mattercam. Taking that wide look at California Adventure. Oh my goodness, how majestic it looks from high atop the tree line here, and the Incredicoaster in the distance. That whole skyline is just so captivating. What a wonderful thing to see as we join you here on yet another beautiful weekend from the I was going to say where we used to be. Oh my gosh, wow. From the, not Universal, not Sunset Gower, no. We are here from the Warner Brothers Studios Media District here in beautiful Burbank, California, just around the corner from the Walt Disney Studios and just up the road from the Disneyland Resort. Hello, everyone. I'm Wade Heath. Happy to be a part of your weekend as always. If you haven't already, make sure that you hit that like button, whether you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube. Make sure that the like button, it gets hit, and that you let us know that you appreciate the type of content that we are providing you, as well as any sort of future content we could provide you. So it lets us know that we're on the right track, we're giving you the content that you're looking for, and that the video itself, it allows it to perform just a little bit better. Connecting you to more of what makes you happy, that is what we do here, and it is, as always, an honor to be a part of your weekend live. If you aren't watching live, you're watching on demand, well, better late than never. Happy that you could join us, and thank you so much for making us a part of your weekend or extended week, depending on when you're seeing this. If you're listening, no doubt you're doing it on iHeartRadio or over on Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, you name it. We are on all the platforms, iTunes as well. We want to thank you for listening to the broadcast as well as watching. Well, my friends, it is yet another busy Disney news week. So many topics to get to, lots of discussion to happen here today. But before we dive into it, I am joined as always by a wonderful team. However, this team is one less than usual. From AttractionPaction.net, it's only Katina Manzone.
Only me. That's it.
The one and only is what I mean.
The one and only me. Yeah, he's gone. I'm empty over here. He's in Florida. Can you believe that?
What on earth happened?
I know. He was just like, I'm going to Florida. Bye.
Wow.
And then I was like, bye.
And off he went.
Bring me gifts.
Having a great time. Yeah.
I know. He's having a good time. He just ate at homecoming this morning. Posted some pictures on Twitter about all the delicious glutinous things that he got, but it looked good.
Yeah, Chef Mark Smith's
very rich.
Homecoming, Disney Springs, one of those, when it comes to brunch especially, over-the-top locations to have your brunch at.
It's hard to get a reservation, too, for brunch, so you got to get on it Saturday, Sunday only from, 9 to 1?
Yeah, it's a very, very small window.
Oh, yeah. You got to jump on it if you want, some good, soul food, kind of cooking. If I could eat it, I would. I can smell it, though, so that's good. So I'm happy with that.
You and your horrid gluten allergy just ruins all the fun.
I know. I wish I could just find a place that had it, or if he could just make me some kind of little side dish, like fried chicken or something. I'd be so happy. But it is what it is. He got to eat his delicious brunch, so I'm happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky him. Well, in just a little bit, we will also be checking in with our Walt Disney World reporter, Gared Hassel, who's live for us at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. But also here with us today, making sure the world runs smoothly, it's producer Christian in the production dungeon. Hello, sir.
Morning, everybody.
Morning and good afternoon, East Coasters.
Yes,
Hey,
afternoon.
it seems as though you being much of a pin collector, that you are starting to bring in more and more pins. What do we have this week?
This week I have a little jangly bit for
Oh,
this
a dangly bit.
jangly bits for the pin. Getting more festive and decorative this time around. You know,
Oh my.
nearly what is it? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks
For-
till spooky time.
Oh yeah.
Spooky time
Spooky
on its
time.
way.
2 weeks to spooky time.
Do you have a favorite character? Nightmare Before Christmas.
I mean, it has to be Zero.
Oh,
Oh.
Zero.
naturally.
You know?
Adorable.
Zero is I think most people's favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
something. I mean, people love dogs to begin with. Let it be a ghost dog,
Mm-hmm.
and all bets are off.
And has a cute little nose.
That's for certain. Yeah, go Zero, go. Well, thank you for bringing in your unique pin collection. As always, producer Kurt on assignment this week and no longer bringing us his cup corner. So it's Christian's Pin Corner, I think is what we're calling it now. You good with that title?
I'm good with it for the most part. It doesn't have the same ring to
I
it,
know.
but it'll have to do.
Well, if you can come up with
Until
something
we
a
come
little
up
bit
with
more
something
clever,
better.
we will use that next time. How about that? Something a little bit more clever you can bring our way. I think it will work out perfectly. We'll have a jingle and everything. It'll be
Oh,
great.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be fun.
That's what we'll do. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Disneyland Resort is canceling reservations for their hotels all the way through the end of October at this point. So we report on this week to week, as always, where Disneyland pushes out cancellation notices to our hotel friends, people that may have booked a hotel reservation on the property. As of right now, unfortunately, it seems that those cancellations will extend all the way through to the beginning of November. As we come to find each time this happens, I don't know anyone that has booked a stay at the Disneyland Resort without the theme parks being open and only downtown Disney. But occasionally we'll see somebody who will leave a comment on one of our videos or who will notify us via the KingdomReportLive.com website that, hey, I had a reservation booked. I think I was just holding out, kind of hoping that eventually theme parks would reopen. But now officially, I think with all of the back and forth on the state front and the friction that continues to exist there, Disney's just pulling the plug on the rest of October.
I feel like that's like the way it should be.
Yeah.
They can't open it within like 2 weeks.
Right.
And then I know like there was like the rumor that they're going to open in October 17th. So
Sure.
a lot of people like jumped in and started like booking reservations just to book them.
Yeah.
Like what in like September or whatever. So now it's like come to fruition where they're like, yeah, nope, it's not happening.
It's amazing how many rumors of potential openings there have been since July.
Yeah.
And how many times we've heard even internally how they fully expect there to be an announcement by this date. They fully expect there to be something happening here and there. And each time it's gotten kicked down the road and pushed out. And here we are again. The rest of October completely canceled for hotel reservations at the Disneyland Resort.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is. Well, the community has come together to rally for the Disneyland Resort. Saturday, October 17th, the morning, they decided to join with one another, the community that is, in front of the Disneyland Resort to sort of rally for the return of the theme parks. And a handful of individuals, probably close to 50 to 75 unique folks from not only the community but former cast members, people that are supporters of Disneyland in general, maybe super fans, perhaps individuals that have family members who are cast members. They all joined together too to come out and show their support for the Disneyland Resort theme parks reopening. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about how many people were going to show up to this, and it was kind of thrown together last minute by two individuals who have formerly worked for the Disneyland Resort, and they wanted to see that there was some support shown for theme parks reopening, and also to support the Magic Makers who no longer have a job, and for those who are waiting to hear if they have a job. Obviously, tying into the 28,000 person layoff that the Disney company issued here not too long ago. 28,000 employees laid off across the organization, little over 8,000 of which happened at the Disneyland Resort. And I know that there's a lot of concern when it comes to how these protests, these rallies were going to help impact the overall experience of the theme parks coming back, and whether or not it was going to move the needle. Katrina, at this point, even though we see video of wonderful individuals coming out, socially distanced, trying their best to make an impact on this idea of, hey, we want to see the theme parks reopen, we want to see people get their jobs back, we want to support the cast. It doesn't seem like anything has nudged the governor. It doesn't seem like anything has nudged the state in even issuing the reopening guidance at this point. But the rally, a wonderful, I think, gesture from the community.
I think it's a great gesture, and I think it's really nice to see these these people that want to go to the parks and come and like make the parks come back to life. But yeah, my pessimistic side is just like, do you really think that's going to help the governor being like, oh, well, if there's like 200 people outside Disney, then you know what, let's just pass it. Let's just open the gates.
Yeah.
Like the governor hasn't budged since June, July
right.
about this. So what really makes them think that this is actually going to help? I like to see people like want the parks to reopen, make it go back to normal, get the city back on its feet, because honestly it's really hurting because Disney's closed.
Right.
But this isn't going to help Newsom change its mind. It's going to make him try to see the other side, saying, well, if you guys are just going to stand here together, that's going to kind of like hurt the whole like social distancing thing, and it's going to I feel like it's just going to make it look bad if like tons of people are going to gather around in close proximities and stuff. It's not going to prove a point. Sadly, I don't know.
So, I mean, they've done their best to try
hate
and distance everybody, and certainly the people that did show up, were keeping their distance. Everybody was wearing masks for the most part, and it was very, very much an important factor for the organizers to ensure that everybody was doing whatever they were doing in the rally safely. So we did see a lot of that happen, and congratulations to the community for coming together and showing their support for not only the theme parks but also the many cast members that have been affected by this long-term shutdown, longer than any time in Disney's history where Disneyland theme parks have been shut down, I should say. In other news, it turns out that, the Disneyland Resort has reached an agreement with the 11 cast member unions, making a very quick reopening possible with government guidelines. From the Orange County Register, they write, to date, 11 unions representing the vast majority of Disneyland cast members have signed agreements including health and safety measures that will allow Disneyland to responsibly bring back staff as soon as possible, according to Disney officials. Disneyland has reached an agreement with Workers United Local 50, the resort's second largest union, that will allow for food and beverage cast members to return to work, according to Disney officials. Disneyland has reached return to work agreements with 10 other unions, including Master Services Council, Independent Employees Services Association, Craft Maintenance Council, and International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. So this is great news. I know that there was some legitimate concern about even if the theme parks were given the go-ahead, even if the theme parks were issued that reopening guidance, what would happen if the company had not already come to terms with the unions in terms of reopening and how they were going to do it with those unions, what they were going to offer them, how they were going to do it safely with them. They had already come to terms with a few of the unions and had already determined what they were going to sort of lay out for them, but the majority had not yet been finalized, and going even into the original opening for back in July for the anniversary that they wanted to do, most of those unions had not agreed on how they were going to be brought back, which I think to anyone from the outside looking in kind of thought, how were you planning on doing this without all of your workers agreeing that it's the right time to come back and that you're going to do it safely for them? Certainly over the course of the last several months, Disney has made all kinds of inroads when it comes to health and safety measures within their parks, really elevating the whole idea of ensuring each step is methodically placed and understood, and there isn't any concern now as to how Disney can execute a theme park reopening safely, as they have at all the Disney parks around the world at this point, as well as Walt Disney World, showcasing that they are doing it safely. They have thought of everything, even bringing in additional outside groups to come look at their safety measures and allowing them to consult further and adding even more on top of what was already there. But back in July, when they originally wanted to open, they hadn't met with a lot of these unions. They hadn't even agreed on how to re-enter them into the workforce. And I think that was on everybody's mind is how were these people, or were they even going to come back?
I feel like they weren't
Yeah.
ready. I mean, to not even, I mean, now they're ready.
Right.
Everything is like perfect, but who are they going to hire?
Yeah.
Like just trying to push people that they hire directly, like non-unions, to do other jobs, because then it goes against union contracts and then they're going to get sued if they go against union contracts. So that would have been, like I said before, it would have been really silly of them to open in July and they were like pushing things together. And now I'm curious what they agreed on a lot of these these unions. You know, it makes you really wonder, you know, what kind of agreements now that they're finally able to kind of like meet in the middle for, versus in September and like even in August and stuff when they were trying to go back and forth. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I just want it. I want the unions and Disney to have fair, like, I guess, processing when it comes to cast members in the unions. So, like, you know, because some of them I've heard they're doing like some really shady stuff to people in certain locations, and then they're basing it off of like seniority, and you're fine if you're in this position, but you're not fine if you're in this position, and it's based off of seniority with groups of 3 other locations.
Are you talking about layoffs, or what are you referring
to come back?
Oh,
and then
okay.
you're going to
So
get laid
returning.
off to
Got it.
return. So it just seems kind of what they were doing on one of the unions didn't seem right. It didn't seem fair. So I hope that they are fair
Yeah.
with the unions and Disney to bring the right people back to the right areas. Because I would hate to see people getting laid off. I mean, and me, I'm going to say personally with Carthay Circle, like they're getting hit hard right now. And it makes me feel heartbroken to see it. And I'm hoping that the unions have created a better system to get people back to where they want to be versus the Blue Bayou coming into another restaurant where they don't want to be. They would rather just be at their own restaurant and whatnot. So I hope it works out. But I'm glad that they came to an agreement. So now we can just move forward and attack Newsom.
It has gotten to the point where certainly Disneyland theme parks and the resort as a whole, from hotels to downtown Disney, when working with these unions, have finally gotten to a place where it seems like they can all mostly agree on stipulations and measures that have been put in place. And certainly hope that the unions are bringing people back the right way, as you mentioned, and doing it appropriately. At this point, it would just be nice to have guidance so that they could potentially bring somebody back, because you can talk about it all you want as to how to bring people back, but if there's no green light, it's not happening. So you're right. You turn to the state.
I mean, it's a lot safer now. I mean, they put plexiglass like literally everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just like walk into the Esplanade and just like kind of peer into Disney California Adventure, you can see like plexiglasses are like literally everywhere. So the cast members are safe now. They didn't have those in July. Like you can go to a bench and they have like a plexiglass divider, so 2 different parties can sit down at the same bench to try to utilize space, because Disneyland doesn't have a lot of space. So it's safer now. So I'm like glad that they were able to do this, because before in July, I don't blame the unions for being like, nah, we're not coming back yet.
Yeah, kind of being rushed into and without even being consulted. I almost think that there's a parallel here where the unions probably felt in July kind of like how Disneyland is feeling now with the state. And that is Disneyland wasn't really in talks with the unions leading up to their wannabe reopening date of July. And now here we are all these months later, and the state has not been in conversations consulting Disneyland at any point. And so I guess what goes around comes around.
Right? Karma.
So there you go. In other unfortunate news, it turns out that an analyst is claiming Disneyland Resort may have already lost $2.2 billion in revenue since COVID-19 has struck and closed their theme parks. This is something that came out of the Orange County Register. And an analyst for an organization outside of Disney has claimed that the resort has already lost $2.2 billion in revenue during the closure, while the downtown Disney district has reopened to guests. Parks and resort hotels have remained shuttered since March. This gigantic hole for the company at this point, and it could be said that the organization, leading up to this was kind of on a spending spree. I mean, they were dropping billions of dollars on acquisitions and IP and all these things. This $2.2 billion in revenue loss, majority-wise coming from theme parks, majority-wise coming from that atmosphere where for the longest time it used to be their cushion. For the longest time it used to be what they relied on to make mistakes elsewhere with. They would have the theme park revenue cushion the blow whenever a major film flopped or whenever something else in the other part of the company didn't do so hot. Well, without films right now and without your theme park revenue, and Disneyland specifically having lost potentially $2.2 billion in revenue, this is really painting a dark picture as to what the future of Disney is going to look like in terms of decisions they're going to have to make. In addition to that, a pretty dark future about the Disneyland Resort for projects that were being talked about in the future that are no longer being referenced, and then the handful of projects that they were already involved in that they're just going to get done because they were building them. But this is painting a very dark picture.
It's really sad. And just imagine, okay, Disneyland is losing $2.2 billion. How about all of Anaheim that relies on Disneyland?
Right.
All those hotels that are lined up down the road, all those little restaurants, all those little shops, how much are they losing? And it's just a grim picture, and I'm sad to, a lot of these things are not going to recoup for many years. Like, you're not going to make, like, when they open back up, they're not going to make money quickly. They're going to be losing it for the next, maybe 2 to 3 years, I'm assuming. And just like what happened with 9/11, not a lot of people flew, not a lot of people went out and did stuff. And how long did it take Disneyland to kind of recoup all that money that they lost and have it come back to normal again? And then this happens and we're going back at the same level. It's gonna be years and years until they're able to make money again. And then those films now are gonna be like benched probably because they can't risk losing any more money. So it's really sad.
It is indeed. Dark days ahead. Who knows what else will happen when it comes to cuts that have to be made, when it comes to things that have to be eliminated. It's estimated by this report that the local economy has already lost $23 million just in the last few months in terms of overall revenue stimulation. I know there's plenty more on top of that in different categories that aren't even being referenced here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That whole region in and around the Disneyland Resort, what is left of it, I think is important to point out. What is left of that region is also dealing with the fallout, and some hotels haven't even come back online. Some hotels are deciding whether or not they need to close up shop for good. A lot of those little retail establishments that sort of litter Harbor Boulevard, they're gone.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they're gone now.
I mean,
too.
like Weston just was coming in, and we were so excited to like maybe stay there and enjoy it. And they spent a lot of money for that, hoping to get that summer rush. And they're not even open yet. They're like hiring, but they're not open yet. So who knows when they're going to start maybe having an opening in spring or something at this point. It's not even worth it for them to open. And just to see, I haven't even driven down there. I just can't bear to, I mean, I don't really live down there, but if I did drive down there, I couldn't bear to see all those little shops like gone. And those hotels and restaurants and like all those people being laid off too. It's not just Disney, it's that whole little area. They rely on Disney.
Absolutely.
And it's just heartbreaking to see. And it's heartbreaking to see Disney like this too, because how much can they really do in downtown Disney? They're not going to make a lot of money. It's like zero.
Yeah. There's very little to sustain what's already down there, and very little tourist attraction in general. Fortunately, Knott's Berry Farm carrying on with their food festivals, which seem to be very popular and selling out. A lot of discussion as to whether or not Disneyland could do something like that. We've talked about that in long form before, and how they could sort of exploit that loophole of doing like a food festival or something retail based on Main Street or Buena Vista Street. It sounds like there might be some complications when it comes to union callbacks in that capacity, and people entering a theme park and ticket media, and it gets very complicated, and it's unfortunate because you think everybody would just, at this point, for those that are willing to and are comfortable with it, would just want to get back to work. But yeah, I know that there are politics and everything, and
There's like
unfortunate
ripples and
problems.
everything.
Yeah.
One idea might sound great, but then you have to look at the ripple effect that's going to happen down the line. Like I can say, oh yeah, like we've talked about it many times. Just open up. Everybody's going to pay to get in Disney just to buy a stupid churro, just to buy a pretzel that's filled with cheese. You know, like everybody's going to pay for it. Take a couple pictures by the castle, send them along their way. But then there's always that ripple effect about, okay, well, there's food and beverage that's involved. The ticketing has to be involved and all these other people. And Knott's Berry doesn't have a union.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about that.
It's kind of incredible to think also that, you know, there may be a case, even though Disney is becoming sort of cash dry at this point because they've lost so much and they continue to lose so much. There's a discussion going on right now about, well, now knowing that so many of those businesses along Harper Boulevard, which have sort of landlocked the property, are going out of business, certainly they're up for sale. And, you know, could Disney potentially purchase those businesses, or could they offer something to maybe perhaps lighten the load on the business owner that probably just wants to get out of there at this point,
Yeah.
and potentially use that space for further expansion down the line. But again, I don't think that enough time is spent on how bad Disney is probably hurting at the moment, just in terms of overall loss, and who knows what is still to come. There's probably ridiculous amounts of losses still ahead, and especially not knowing their future on the Disneyland front, no doubt that is, you know, not having any sort of forecast be all that accurate because nobody knows what to expect.
Honestly, I would be okay with the Runaway Railway being delayed 5 more years just so they can buy up property across the street. I'm okay with it. I mean, can you imagine if they tried to at least expand certain areas and try to create like another good hotel instead of those, like, I mean, you know, some of those hotels across the street should be shut down.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like maybe Disney just has to try to figure out how to do this stuff, or like expand downtown Disney, because man, like, I mean, they could have made a little bit more money. I know it's probably California law, like they don't have like open cup where they, because like no, there's no in, like there's one way in, one way out kind of thing. So if they could just expand areas where you can walk around with like alcohol or whatnot, I feel like it would be a little bit better. But then you have like problems with people like with their masks. But if they made, I'm just saying it, a pop-up tiki bar,
Oh,
just saying, that would be
that would be
perfect.
nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would go.
I would too.
If the drinks were good, like
Yeah,
if
right.
it was, I mean, if it was like not a Trader Sam's tiki bar and it was like, you know, icky drinks, then
Yeah.
no. But if they did it, I think that'd be really great. But they need to create something new for downtown Disney to bring people in, because how many people can really go in to downtown Disney, eat at the restaurant, and go buy bubble wands or something, you know, besides looking at merchandise? They're now pushing, you know, they made that back lot area for a store to make people buy more merchandise. But how much merchandise can people possibly buy?
Right.
And they're taking out, you know, a one-of-a-kind Wonderground to put in Batu stuff because they're aching, and you know that they're aching, and they're like, please buy our Batu stuff. We have too much. And they're trying to, you know, sell this stuff to people, and then Void is gone now.
Right.
So now I feel like they have to open up something interesting to utilize that space. So I'm hoping that there's like something cool to bring other people to come in, because there's really nothing to do there. So I feel like they need to find something to create cash.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I misspoke here just a moment ago. I want to make it clear that it's estimated that the local economy is losing up to $23 million a day, I said, in the last several months. So $23 million per day is what I
That's
meant
a
to
lot.
say. And that equals about $5 billion during the past 7 months. So to put it in perspective there, I didn't want anybody to be misled on the $23 million remark.
That makes it worse.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, horribly worse. At any rate, leave it in the comments down below what you think we should be doing. Disneyland, that is. I say we. Who am I? What we as fans.
We'll report to nobody.
Right. Yeah. What Disneyland should be doing when it comes to perhaps a food festival, perhaps opening up additional retail spaces. Should they open Main Street? Should they open Buena Vista Street? What do you think should be done to try and supplement things until they get that theme park reopening guidance? Let us know in the comments down below. We would love to take a look and perhaps talk about that more in a future broadcast. The state health official in charge of California's new tiered system when it comes to the pandemic is now pushing the Disneyland Resort reopening process a little bit further with his comments, a little bit further down the line of not reopening, that is, and making a very bold statement as the California Health Secretary has now stated that guidelines for reopening Disneyland, well, they'll be released, quote, when we're ready. And he was asked about this during a press conference recently where this on-again saga, on-again, off-again battle between the state and Disney and theme parks in the region continue to rage. The Health and Human Services Secretary for the state of California, Dr. Mark Galey, said in a COVID-19 update, reiterating Orange County, which includes Anaheim and the Disneyland Resort, is still in the red, quote, substantial tier code. And with that, when he was pressed about potentially offering up some sort of guidance, which they have been saying, the governor specifically has been saying is coming since July and has not given that information at all. The Health and Human Services Secretary says, you know what, we'll come out when we're ready. We will continue to lead with public health and look at our data, slow and stringent moving forward. I feel like this statement is directed at all those people who are angry right now, directed at all those people who are irritated with the state at the moment because they are refusing to give any sort of information. They are refusing to provide the guidance that they themselves said was coming now for several months. And now the Health and Human Services Secretary is basically saying, stop asking. We'll tell you when we're ready.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable. The lack of sensitivity here with the entire situation is becoming more and more obvious.
Yeah.
With the state. And for a while there, it felt like they were playing the game of at least trying to be diplomatic. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if Bob Iger has had some harsh conversation with the governor after he resigned from his economic reopening task force. I don't know if there's bad blood between the company and the state legitimately. We just don't know for sure. But this statement seems very insensitive, seems very disrespectful of the 28,000 people that just lost their jobs across Disney. Many who ended up losing their jobs at the Disneyland Resort, right? A huge chunk of that, which could have been further reduced had they known what was going to come, right? What their reopening was going to look like and what that guidance was going to be. Time and time again, they're asked. Time and time again, they're pressed. Governor says, information's coming. Governor says, we are working with the theme parks. Governor says we are in dynamic conversations. Governor says we are this close to releasing that information. Come to find out several weeks ago, no one was talking to theme parks. Nobody was in conversations. Nobody had reached out.
Insane.
And now you have the Health and Human Services Secretary saying, you know what, we'll get to it when we want to get to it. We've got more important things to deal with. And look, I get it. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We've got all these problems. People are sick and infected, and yes, there have been deaths, and yes, all of this is tragic. But you now have been promising something for months that you haven't delivered on, and now you're being arrogant about that after people have lost so much. So where this arrogance is coming from, I don't understand.
They're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like when I read this, I was like, oh my God. It's like when a parent tells you soon.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Right.
Like when you're a child, you're like, okay, that word sucks. Don't say soon. That means anything. So when they say this, they're trying to be like the parent, and they're like, we're going to tell you when we feel like it's right to tell you. And it's just like, okay, well, at this point, you're literally jeopardizing all of these people's jobs, and you're keeping Disney out of the dark, Universal out of the dark, all these theme parks out of the dark on what's happening. And then in my mind, I feel like there was like some kind of cool Game of Thrones thing that was happening between Newsom and Iger. Like they were trying to like have this like death match battle, and Iger was like, you know, I don't know. I'm going to say Stark. And he's the savior. And then like, you know, Newsom's being a Cersei Lannister.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel that, I mean, they're just being mean. Yeah. They're trying to keep anything out of the dark. I don't know what their angle is. I mean, I get it. They're scared about people getting sick and spreading it, and people flying in and whatnot. But at this point, like, Disney is safe. And so they kind of have to at least give them a chance.
Right.
And right now they're not even
It's been
giving it a chance.
Proven time and time again at this point that Disney can operate safely and have proven so at their theme parks around the world with no real cases linked back to the properties. Now, we're all realists and we try and be as fair as we can, even when we're weighing in with our commentary and our perspective and stuff. And obviously that it's not possible that no COVID cases come out of these theme parks. But according to all the research, there isn't anything to indicate that there are cases, at least no spikes, at least no problematic amounts of cases coming out of theme parks. But this is a virus where you're going to be infected pretty much wherever you go and in whatever you do. So either life stops and we stay locked down for the next year, which just prolongs this problem.
And then no one has a job at that point.
Or we try to figure out how to safely deal with this. The Disney CEO is quoted as saying this week, Bob Chapek is his name, quote, "It's a mandate that we stay closed in California. Not much discussion has come from the government." This is something that he had referenced to an interviewer and was asked about how Disney is going to reopen and the sort of situation that they're in with the state of California. And he is quoted as saying, "It's not much of a negotiation with the state of California. It's pretty much a mandate that we stay closed." I look across our Disney properties, whether it be Shanghai, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Paris, Walt Disney World, the Disney bubble for the NBA, and all that I see is that we've been able to open up responsibly using the guidelines that healthcare experts have given us. As a result, we've been very, very successful at reopening without having issues that would preclude us from staying open. It would seem to me that the guidelines that are set up by the state of California are more stringent than any states across the country. If you look at the history of Disney and what we've been able to do during the reopening, rather than arbitrary standards that are set up without regard to what actual fact is and what we've been able to do as a company, I think you might come to a different decision about reopening Disneyland. These, of course, come on the heels, these comments do, of the governor saying last week that he's in, quote, "no hurry" to offer reopening guidance. Bob Chapek there with, I think, a slap of reality back at the state. And we also spoke in a previous broadcast about how the chief health official, Dr. Pam, for the Walt Disney Company.
Dr. Pam.
Oh, Dr. Pam, coming at you fierce.
There we go.
She ended up kind of slapping the state also and saying, "How dare you say that we are not being led by health and science and facts? We have gone to great lengths and great expense to make sure that this is the safest possible experience with experts consulting on absolutely everything." And it turns out that the governor of the state of California has apparently already sent his strike force team, his health investigators, to Disney World last week to check in on all of their regulations, all of their policies, all of their procedures, mainly to ensure that they are doing everything as they claim. A California Health and Human Services spokesperson, Katie Fulmar, said that we sent health officials to open and operating theme parks out of state last week, independently of operators, to assess the health safeguards in practice. These visits will help inform our pending theme park guidance. Well, how nice of them to do something that they said they were doing in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How nice of them to start doing it.
It's very sweet of them. I mean, what Chapek said.
Right. We don't
Good
often
job,
applaud
Chapek.
him. We don't often cheer
I
Bob
don't
Chapek.
cheer for Chapek. I usually don't like him. But when he said this stuff, I was like, ooh, Chapek, you're actually getting on it.
They're
Yeah,
mad.
you're
They're
like Dr.
upset.
Pam. And now I'm like, okay. And then the governor being like, oh, we secretly sent people to out-of-state theme parks. And then I'm expecting these people like all in black with like stern looks. And then they're like with the white gloves and they're like, dirty. And then they like write in their little notebook about what's going on.
I
And
saw someone take their mask down to sip a drink. How safe is that?
nope, we're out of here. That's it. And it's just like, I feel like you'd feel more unsafe on in an airport
Right.
than at a theme park. And yes, I mean, certain theme parks are a little bit busier than other theme parks at the moment when they reach capacity on the weekends and whatnot. But I hope when they go to these theme parks, they're coming in open-minded and not being closed-minded like we're seeing California's government doing. So I hope they come in and they're open-minded, saying, hey, this is a really great idea. Hey, look at this. You can ride Jungle Cruise, and there's plexiglass everywhere. You can ride the safari. There's plexiglass to protect you. They're wiping down the railing at like every 2 minutes. They're, watch and see how many times they clean the rides every hour, and take notes and actually like look at it. I don't want them to go in with like, like a, I don't know, what's my word? I was going to say, I like lost it. With their like, nose up in the air kind of thing. And they
snooty attitude.
Yeah, like a little snooty, you know. I just want them to come in and just take notes and like say like, hey, this is a really great idea. Go to the dining venues and see how they're separating people and how they're doing temperature checks and how, you have to have a reservation to get into the hotels and whatnot. Because honestly, they're not really saying what they're looking at when they went there. They were just said that they went to go check and see what they, what they found. But what were they trying to find exactly? Like what, because I want to know what California wanted to do to open the parks, but they haven't really talked about it yet because they don't have a plan.
Right.
And I wanted them to relate that to what Disney's doing in Florida and say, hey, this actually could work. But they've never really told us anything about, well, we want to, open up at this capacity and only these areas can come into Disneyland. How would that affect, the revenue, and how would that affect the cleanliness and all that stuff? But I don't know. They're just being very quiet about it, and I don't like it. It's very fishy.
Yeah, very very coy, very elitist, and I don't like this tone from the state. I understand that theme parks don't need to be open, by the way. Like I understand that that's the last thing on anybody's mind right now. Our concern has always been, though, that you're not even giving them an opportunity to prove themselves. You're not even giving them an opportunity to understand where the measuring stick is. You're not even giving them the opportunity as theme parks to grasp where and how they can safely reopen, because you're not giving them information as to how to do it that you have promised since July to give.
Give us a draft one,
Right.
and then let's work on it.
Yeah.
And then let's start just doing drafts back and forth on how we can fix this and how you think your science will make it work, because that's what they're basing everything off of, right? They're like, oh, science will tell us when we're able to open. And I'm like, well, Disney World's open, and we haven't really had a lot of cases. Universal's open. There hasn't been a lot of cases. And then, I feel like California is now being like what Anaheim was 2 years ago, when they're like, we don't need you, Disney.
Right.
And they're like slapping little Big Brother's hand, being like, we got this. And now they're like, we need you. and now California's like, we don't need you, Disney. We're fine. You guys can stay closed. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, this entire...
What happened?
Yeah, there's something that occurred. And I completely agree with you. There is some sort of dynamic shift all of a sudden where for months, the governor and the Health and Human Services Department had this very kind and respectful tone of everything, and made it seem like something was about to happen, and made it seem like they were working with everybody, and it was all very cohesive, and there was this kumbaya. And now, again, I go back to the idea that I wonder what Bob said to him, Iger. I know there's two Bobs, so I wonder
The
what
good
Bob Iger. Yeah, I wonder what Bob Iger said to the governor. I wonder what happened behind the scenes that we aren't privy to, because now, to go after Disney on the front of, we're gonna be led by science and health and data facts, and we're not in a hurry now. This tone shifted all the way around to be more accusatory that Disney can't possibly be in a place to sustain that, to take care of that, to protect that. They can't be those people. And that's kind of the accusation that they're hurling with those comments of, there's no way you could possibly be safe, when they're proving everywhere else case studies. So thank goodness that they finally sent people to go see for themselves, which should have been done in July when things reopened in Florida.
I want them to go on an American Airlines flight right now, being packed in like sardines, and you tell me that's safe.
Yeah.
And they're able to fly with like that kind of company. And yet they don't want Disneyland to open when everybody's continuously moving at all times. Like,
it's outside. You are distanced. You are told constantly to keep that mask up. You are reinforced with the rules constantly wherever you go. We experienced this ourselves when we visited Walt Disney World about a month and a half ago. The Walt Disney World and Pandemic series is available on the Kingdom Report YouTube channel. If you don't know what is going on in Florida. If you yourself are not comfortable venturing out to theme parks, of course it's your choice. You don't have to go to Disneyland if it was reopening, but it's something that you can take a look at. We did it because we wanted to know for ourselves, is it truly something that people can be comfortable with, or is it something people should stay away from, and is Disney just, putting the cart before the horse type thing? With all experience, with everything that we've come across, without a doubt, things are great and things are well planned, and we felt safer there than we would anywhere else in the entire trip process. So Disney knows how to pull this off. They already are around the world, and we just hope that for the sake of civility and respecting each other, that this attitude and this arrogance from the state over holding hostage all of these jobs and holding hostage all of these regional revenue models and all of these regional revenue sources, to hold hostage all of this stuff without giving any indication as to what could change or how it could otherwise change down the line, is so awful. And I just don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah, you got me.
Help the region.
Like, at least give
They're
them
your state.
some kind of guidelines so they can work off of it. I am curious what happened. Like, I'm gonna think of like Hamilton and that one song. Like, but it's just like in the room where it happened. What happened?
Yeah.
You know, what did Newsom do to Iger? What did Iger do to Newsom for this stuff to happen? And all these other people that were, in this like little like opening board or whatever. Why are you hating on theme parks that host so many jobs and bring in tons of money, even to airports? People have to fly in. What are they doing? I get the fires were bad, and he had other things for like a month or so, just to kind of like, I can't think of this right now on my plate. I'm gonna think of the fires first, and then we'll come back.
Yep.
But now fires are okay at the moment, but this is your moment to like step in and do stuff. And now I think they're just being petty, and they're just like, oh yeah, we sent people over there.
It does feel very petty.
It's just like they're like mean parents, Soon.
Yeah, I definitely think that we're in a situation where perhaps, because it seems like the point where everything turned narrative-wise was when the Disney executives as well as the mayor of Anaheim came out together in their separate press conferences, but all around the same time, and said, the state has not been talking to us. We can't get a hold of anybody. Nobody is helping us here. Nobody's moving forward like they've all been saying they're doing. And that seemed to be the moment where suddenly the narrative shifted and the language from the states changed. So I'm wondering if it was just calling them out and finally admitting that no one's working on reopening theme parks and nobody cares about this region and what they're going through. And to hear it from the mayor of Anaheim, and to hear it from the chairman of Disney Parks and Resorts, and to hear it from the president of Disneyland, for them to all come out and say, no one has been there for us this whole time. That's big for Disney to do. They don't typically come out swinging like that unless they absolutely feel they needed to. And then a week later, we saw the 28,000 employees laid off. Yeah. So all of this, very unfortunate, all of this really dark. We certainly hope that for the sake of Disney parks reopening in the Orange County, California region, that some sort of idea, some sort of understanding is brought into place where everybody can agree that at least there's a framework to work off of. At least there's something they can figure out how to accomplish moving forward, because as of right now, it's all still up in the air, and we are 7 months into this state lockdown. It is time to figure out how to safely live with this and determine whether or not Disney is really just out to hurt people like you're making them seem with your ridiculous language. Leave it in the comments down below if you feel like perhaps the tone of the state is called for in this regard, and you think they should be more aggressive with theme parks, they should be more aggressive with Disney, they should be more aggressive with their tone, or if you feel like perhaps they're just getting a little bit too arrogant with their attitude. All right, my friends, you stick around. More Kingdom Report live next.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. you are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
Gared on the go time. Walt Disney World reporter Gared Hassel standing by in Walt Disney World for all of the latest news updates. And beyond the tree line, you might spot an elusive Gared. Hey, buddy.
How's it going, everyone? Hope you all are having an adventurous day like myself. I was hiding to make sure I was safe from predators. You never know what you're going to run into out here in Disney's Animal Kingdom. So I got my tiki mask on, so the tiki birds will protect me, and I'm good to go. So yeah, I am actually right next to the Tiffin's restaurant, and right next to that is the Nomad Lounge. So yeah, I found a table. Yeah, I found a table with a little, awning and a tent, and I'm all like, yeah, Tiffin's right there.
Living that resort life.
I'm good. Yeah, like I'm good to go right here. This is actually a pretty nice spot. The Wi-Fi is good as well. So if any of you out there need a place to eat, it's right behind Pizza Fari, and you just come and sit down. And everything's socially distanced. No one's getting near me. So
Good.
I'm happy about that. But let's get into some Walt Disney World news. And the first thing actually has to do with what's 2 buildings over, which is the Nomad Lounge. And that is the Nomad Lounge has added a walk-up wait list on the My Disney Experience app. Now, what that means is, say you enter the park and you're like, man, I really want either a nice cocktail, I want a nice place to relax, something. You walk up and you just click on the My Disney Experience app or speak to the host or hostess, and you get added to a wait list, a walk-up wait list, similar to what any normal restaurant used to be like in the past. And I've seen wait times for it averaging around 45 to 55 minutes, depending on how busy it is. On a day like today, it's easily around 55 minutes. I've asked a few guests and they said, yeah, we're 55, but when we get in, we'll enjoy it. And so you can head on in there, relax, enjoy a nice fruity drink, have some lovely little snacky snacks, and you're good to go. Alongside with the Nomad Lounge, Olivia's Cafe has added a to-go option to their menu. And Olivia's Cafe is a quick-serve food and beverage restaurant down at Old Key West, I believe. Wade, am I correct in that?
It's a table service at Old Key West. That's right.
Oh, I apologize.
Nice try.
But yeah, they've added a to-go option as Disney's way of pretty much promoting social distancing and allowing guests to eat at the comfort of their own villas or on their own rather than being stuffed inside. I like it. And the full menu is available, including the conch fritters and the southernmost buttermilk chicken. Sorry, I have to have some notes because there's a lot of menu options on there. I've never had the pleasure of going there, but now I'm very the conch fritters. I'm not sure what those are, so those sound very delicious. So I'll have to give those a go. Wait, have you had them or?
I've never had the fritters.
No, I can't have
them.
them.
Say that doesn't sound like something she could have.
No, but I've heard they're really good. That's the popular thing on the menu. But yeah.
You don't want to live life on the edge, Katrina?
No, not on that kind of edge. I won't be able to live the next day.
I have had the banana bread French toast for breakfast at Olivia's, and now that is something to celebrate.
That sounds great.
That is pretty good.
Okay. I believe they're adding the banana bread French toast to the Contemporary. It's Goofy's banana bread French toast. That's what I reported on last week. So maybe you can get it at 2 places. But the next thing is everyone's favorite topic, Rise of the Resistance. Disney is going to increase the capacity for the amount of boarding groups for Rise of the Resistance. Now, the way it's currently worked is you go on the app at either 10 or 2 and you click the join boarding group option. And then when you get inside the attraction, you're then split into your groups and everything. However, each ride vehicle, which can fit 8 people in there, it only has been for that party. So if you're a party of 1 or a party of 2, you get that entire vehicle to yourself. So the goal behind this is to increase the amount of capacity, bring it almost back up to 100% in this COVID world that we live in. by having those plexiglass, having the plexiglass between the first and second row, allowing you to go in there. For example, yesterday I went into Disney Hollywood Studios with my girlfriend Ariel and her family, and there were 4 of us. And when we went on the ride vehicle, pretty much we had the entire thing to ourselves. We had 2 in the front, 2 in the back. There was no plexiglass on ours. I know some vehicles have it, some do not, but we got to go on the experience. That ride, or sorry, the attraction is one of the most immersive, well thought out, and creative experiences I've ever had the pleasure of doing. I even did a review on it when it first opened, but because of COVID and limiting the amount of people that are able to go inside, it makes it very challenging and very frustrating to get in there. For example, yesterday I was ready to go at 10 a.m. I had my tips in my mind on how I'm going to get into the queue, and within 30 seconds, the boarding groups at 10 a.m. were gone completely. I was shocked because I consider myself a professional when it comes to getting a boarding group. I've been, every time I've gone, boom, 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 every time at 10 a.m. But
You let everybody
yesterday.
down.
I got
Gared.
it at 2. I got it at 2. I got it at 2, but yeah, you could just see frustration across the park. It was hauntingly beautiful. But
That's great to hear, though.
The
About the plexiglass, like that, you know what, it's about time, because I know that there's so many concerns, right, about people not being able to board and everybody missing that reservation window because the capacity got reduced down so much. It's already obviously the hottest ticket to get in all of Hollywood Studios. Everybody wants to ride, and I know that line is always ridiculous every day for guest relations after those windows are open to get your boarding pass, and you can't go ride if you don't have that boarding pass, so a lot of people miss it. And being reduced in capacity, less people were able to do it before, but adding those windows now offers up full capacity for the ride for the most part. So, I mean, that's really cool.
I'm curious to see what it's going to be like with the plexiglass because of the lights and stuff that's happening. What the people in the back row, are they going to get that good view that the front row would get without the plexiglass? Because they would have to clean the plexiglass, and like within every couple minutes, or sorry, not every couple minutes, but whenever they clean their stuff, and then people touching it, but then there's like lights and lasers and stuff kind of going around, will there be a glare or something where the second row might not get a good view?
You're right. There's a lot of like digital effects and stuff like that might play off of it. Yeah, I never even considered that.
Yeah.
I think when they blast, the plexiglass should disintegrate a little bit, and then bit by the end, the plexiglass is completely gone. They just replace it on there. That would truly make the most immersive experience in there.
Totally realistic.
I'm trying to think, because, thank goodness it's not a 3D attraction, because I think the plexiglass could definitely interfere with if you had the 3D goggles on. But I don't know, when it's finally put in, I will have to go in and give you a first-hand account on what it's like. You should still be able to see, but if you're trying to record and you're not in that front row, I imagine it could be quite a hindrance.
It does seem strange that it took this long to do. I mean, they have plexiglass on other attraction ride vehicles.
I wonder, because it was so new, they didn't want to do anything. You know what I mean? Like when you get like a new house and you don't want to put a nail in the wall because you're like,
your
oh, my
toy.
baby. And now they have to like drill holes in their brand new ride. They're like, let's just wait.
Yeah.
Nope, it's not getting better. Okay, just
might
do
be
it.
Maybe just better for the guest experience, it sounds like. So that's a win in my column. Love that.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that too. Oh, another safety announcement going on around here. Remember, everyone, wear a face mask, social distance, all that good stuff. It's very loud. You can't miss it. It happens
that is
every.
loud. Wow.
Yeah. You can hear it even through the AirPods. Wow, that's incredible.
We also hear, by the way, that there are new announcements happening, basically saying that if you're not going to wear a face mask at a Disney park or the park that you're in, that you'll be asked to leave. Have you heard that yet?
Yeah, so there's 2 announcements that I hear. You hear a male's voice and then you hear a female's voice. The male's voice is just like, hello, thank you for joining us. And then please be sure to wear a face mask. And then the female, she's a lot more aggressive. If you do not have a proper face mask covering the nose and underneath the chin, you will be asked to leave. Like she is. And she even has a British accent.
Oh,
so it makes her
she means
formal,
business.
but at the same Oh yeah, it's formal, but at the same time aggressive. It's like, like the Queen's like, you have been banished. You're
The
like,
Queen.
oh, thank you so much. Wait, what? Like that.
I'm curious why there's a male and a female voice. Are they like trying to like get people's like to notice like the announcements? They're like, wait, that's a new voice.
That might be.
Or like, how men, I'm gonna like put you guys down and be like, I only can hear certain tones, and like, so when women are talking, they'll be like, I'm not listening anymore. But then when a man talks, they're like, I hear you.
I hear you.
I get it.
Well, and the voice that's been doing the announcements for the theme parks, it's the same voice that you will hear if you're in like a Disney bus system. It's one of those like resort voices that they have that kind of follows you everywhere. And so he has a very sort of low-tempered tone that is very casual, that is very comfortable. So if there's an aggressive British woman telling you that you're going to be thrown out if you don't wear a mask.
She sounds really cool. Like my best friend.
Yeah.
Like we'd be best friends.
It's like Mary Poppins getting in your face, be like, I'm practically perfect, but if you do not wear a mask,
maybe
you're
that's
not going to be supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That's probably what it is. Hey, I hear that there are some issues over at the Magic Kingdom and getting the People Mover back when we originally thought it was going to come.
It's tragic. So the People Mover refurbishment, which we all thought was going to come and be done around November, has now been pushed back through Christmas.
No.
And it is it's terrifying. It's horrible. It's blasphemous. It's every mean thing that could ever happen to us. Because the People Mover is one of my favorite attractions. It's nice. It's tranquil, and it really is sad. But from what we've been led to believe, so the track is 5,400 feet long, and what they are doing, Imagineers and engineers, are replacing every single magnetic linear induction motor along that track. Pretty much, if you did not know, the track is not like, like the safari vehicles where it runs on tires. It runs via magnets. So one magnet in front pulls it along, and that's how you get around, via the magnetic linear induction motor. That's a mouthful. That's just like my Ratatouille title.
Such an expert.
They're going to be replacing every foot, every inch of that thing. So hopefully when you go on it again, it will be a much smoother ride. Hopefully it won't cause any issues. I can't remember the last time I've seen a refurbishment for that attraction being so long, other than maybe a paint job or maybe just changing out some lights or some bolts. This is pretty much, we're getting a new attraction in a way. Like, you replace a track of a ride, that changes everything. That will be going on through Christmas. So Santa won't get a ride in the People Mover with his reindeer.
It's tough to see. This was an attraction that even before the shutdown happened, was out of commission, and it's been very odd. We've heard many rumors and lots of different things as to why it continues to be down as long as it does. Everything from they're replacing the entire track to they're replacing the motors. They're making sure X, Y, and Z can work correctly. I'm happy to know that the People Mover hopefully is getting the attention that it deserves, but it's such a great people-eating attraction in terms of capacity and getting people off the bottom floor, and it just seems like something that would be very beneficial in a COVID theme park world right now.
It's true. I mean, I feel like I'm so sad, but maybe this will be better because there was a fire one time, and then there was
smoke. We don't know what it was caused from.
There was smoke, and then there was didn't like one bang up against the other. Wasn't there like one that like something happened and like one hit another one like a little bit before then? Yeah,
that was like a scene for some reason. I have witnessed that on several occasions.
So maybe they're replacing the magnets because they kind of need to?
Like they didn't, it wasn't like a vehicle damaged the other vehicle, but they would sometimes get too close and sometimes smack.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it threw me out of the vehicle or hurt me or whiplashed me or anything, but I witnessed it.
Yeah.
And then it became a big problem. At least it was reported as like, oh, very concerning all of a sudden. So it was like, well, am I just unfortunate to have witnessed it as much as I did?
Maybe they really needed to, and now is the time. And then they were a little behind schedule during the pandemic, and now they're like, oh man, okay, fine, let's just
might
do this.
Be it.
But now you're like eating into my time because I wanted it to be ready in November.
Boo! Boo! Me too.
I just hope that when it finally reopens, that they change the scene of the woman getting the haircut. That is still.
I love that scene. It's so silly.
I do
it's
too.
terrifying. It's terrifying. I don't know.
If I was a woman
like putting
in
your
that
head
time,
in
I
a
wanted
tube.
it.
It reminds me of Stan Lee in Thor Ragnarok, where he goes and cuts Thor's hand. It's like a bunch of motors. That's
yeah.
Don't touch my hair. This is the moneymaker right there.
Gotta look good.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But the final story I have for you is about the Park Pass reservation service. And so it is looking to extend into 2022. Originally, it said it was only going to be until around September 2021. Well, Josh Damaro, the parks chairman, who is someone all of us on our team, we all commend him for what he's doing, and honestly give him a pat on the back for all the heartbreaking news he has to tell everyone.
Yeah.
But he said that the reservation service was quote unquote here to stay. Here to stay how long? Forever? For just until we get this whole pandemic under control. But it's here to stay for now. I, for one, I'm okay with it. Like 2022, I think they are definitely being like, they're just over, I guess they're extending it well past, hopefully, then they'll need it. Like, hopefully 2021 we'll have this thing under control, but better be safe than sorry and be like, hey, we're going to open this attraction in November. The version is going to be done. Actually, never mind, it's Christmas. Better go further out than, shorten it. And what this will allow is, in the future, once the 25% occupancy that has been spoken about, if that cap ever gets lifted, hopefully there will be fewer days in which reservations are unavailable for certain parks. For example, hopefully there won't be as many days where Hollywood Studios is blocked out, because if you have not had the chance, the reservation system works like this. You have your pass, and then you go onto there. Depending on what kind of pass you have, you then get to interact with it in a number of different ways. If you are just buying a day pass, you pretty much have full access to all the parks to a certain extent. If you're staying at a Disney resort, then you have an even wider window because you're spending a little bit more money. And then the last tier is if you are an annual pass holder, say like myself, you have a shorter window. You have about a month where you can pick your days in the park, your park reservations, but you only get 3 at a time. So for me, if I want to reserve a park, say I want Hollywood Studios, I either have to get it last second and pray that I get it, or I have to give it a few days or a few weeks in advance. So Josh says it's here to stay, and I'm okay with it, because if it allows them to control the capacity and control the amount of people coming in and out of the park and do proper cleaning, then I'm all for it. I also like it because if you look on the park reservation availability calendar, you can see how many how many parks are actually open. Like you can see like, oh, Hollywood Studios is gone. It actually gives you like, they still have, even though it's the day of, Animal Kingdom still open. Maybe the lines won't be as bad. So I'm optimistic that this will be for the better rather than for the worse.
Yeah, I definitely think that we're on the verge of perhaps a more managed experience, just in terms of how this is going to play out. That's a good thing, just because I know that Disney was already discussing how they were going to manage crowds before the pandemic hit, because Disney parks were becoming so popular that, especially Disneyland theme parks, they were overcrowded all the time. Mm-hmm. They were so chaotic. There were some days you would come and they would have to restrict capacity because there were just too many people in a given place. And so they had to move folks around to California Adventure and stuff like that. A reservation system in place, whether it be for Disney World or for both coasts, which I'm assuming both coasts are going to have it eventually, having that reservation system in place seems very beneficial to me.
It seems beneficial, but then at the same time, it's like, so are they like trying to like be like Chapek pecking it? Like, are they gonna like start lifting, like, or raising the prices of tickets, and you only get one park a day still?
Right.
Or are they gonna slowly try to, maybe you reserve your first park, and then later down the road, if you want to switch to another park, you can see if there's availability to get to the next park. Because right now it's like, okay, well, they're going to raise their prices soon, right?
Right.
And now they're going to only allow you to have one park a day. That doesn't sound right until 2022. I mean, come on, Chapek's involved. He wants cash. Like you know that there's like maybe you have to pay extra or something. There's got to be some kind of weird loophole, because I just can't imagine one person, like a one party a day or one park a day kind of thing is going to last for 2 more years.
I mean, I don't think that will happen in terms of one park a day. Like, I definitely think that eventually they'll go back to the model of being able to park hop and stuff. But for the sake of reservations, I mean, that's a good perspective and something I didn't think about. Certainly, they're going to have to figure out how to raise prices and how to increase more revenue down the line, especially given all the losses that they've been seeing. But the reservation reservation process, I think from an operation standpoint and managing the experience, depending on what that cap will eventually be, I'm really glad to know that they'll have something in place where they can determine whether a day is going to be super busy or not. Because I have the Disneyland Flexpass, where I've mentioned before, they already had a reservation system for that pass. Here in California. So we had to go online ahead of time and look and see if the day we wanted to go was going to be available for the sake of flexibility. And then that allowed us to see whether or not the day was going to be especially busy and maybe reservations had run out, or it was a day where they required reservations. Because if you saw a day that did not require the reservation, you knew, okay, it's going to be quiet. You know, it's going to be an easygoing day. It's going to be
Were you
really
able to
nice.
park hop too?
You were able
Okay.
to park hop, yeah. And you would be able to see whether or not one park had a reservation and the other didn't. And so if I ever saw that one park needed a reservation, I knew I probably didn't want to go anyway. You know, as an annual pass holder, you have that luxury. So I knew, like, okay, it's probably going to be pretty crazy. I don't want to do it. And then I looked at it as it gave me more information so that I could decide, okay, I'll back off. Disney World, a different beast, obviously, because you go to Disney World, you plan it months in advance.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know until you get there.
This is gonna be so exhausting to plan trips. Like it's just
Another
gonna,
layer, yeah.
It's just like one more thing, and you know that if the mask, like I don't know how long this mask thing is gonna be there.
Sure.
But for travel agents, you cannot book these for those people, for your clients, because they give you two options to like choose and say, hey, I will wear a mask. I promise you. And you can't do that for the clients because then
interesting.
you're breach of contract, and so you have to tell your clients to book it. And you can
Interesting.
try to
I didn't
plan
know
it for
that.
them, and
Yeah.
then you can hand them the paper saying, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Good luck. And then they have to click it, because if you click it and let's say something happens and they have proof, they can go back to like the travel agency or go back to you and then try to sue you because everybody's sue happy. So, it's just another layer of stress that
Yeah.
you have to have for these people. And who knows if you're going to have to are they going to do park hopping? It's like still in my mind. Like I really want to know if they're going to do park
I'm sure
hopping,
one
because
day
I
we'll get
feel
back
like
to it,
it's going to be not for a long time,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
what
and for me, the question I have, like, park hopping for Disneyland is very easy. You just walk across the Esplanade 300 yards.
it's
and
so far.
you're there. Oh yeah, it's far out there. Yeah, here you have to go several miles in a car, hop on a bus or a Skyliner. I then wonder what will happen to the Fast Pass queue, because right now the Fast Pass queue is only being utilized for either, I think it's for handicapable guests, or it's a reroute. Like say your ride broke down and they're like, hey, dude, come back in 2 hours. It's being used for that. So I wonder, will Fast Pass ever go back to what it was? Because that was one of the biggest frustrations guests ever had out here was you've already got your park for the day. You're going to Magic Kingdom.
There's
but you get
Chapek's money right
three-
there. You got to
Yeah,
pay
you
extra
get
to
3
do it.
Fast Passes. So will Disney go to a Fast Pass system like Universal, where it's like, hey, we've got different levels of it, $70, you get Fast Passes? Because over in Disneyland Paris, they have it where you get a ticket. You want Fast Pass? Okay, cool. You have Fast Pass for these rides one time. Or you want to give me a little bit extra cheddar, and you get Fast Pass for whatever you want, as many times as you want. That could be the direction we're going. Disney World is going European.
Oh,
Yeah, they might be. Scandalous.
wow.
Well, my friend, I appreciate you dropping in, giving us all the latest headlines and updates from Walt Disney World. What's next for you at Animal Kingdom? Where are you going?
I am going to head into the world of Pandora and get a bowl from Satula Canteen and the Night Blossom drink. It is my favorite drink. It's sweet, it's savory, and it makes me feel like I'm on another planet, which, well, in fact, I am. So, yeah,
That's
heading
right,
into the world of Pandora. Maybe fly a Banshee. Probably not go on the Naga River journey. I'm not going to wait in a long line for that. I'll wait for a flight
Are you going to meet a Tyler?
Yeah, is he out there somewhere?
So Tyler actually is in this park, but he's dodging cameras like he's famous.
Oh,
But
jeez.
I'm gonna find a wild Tyler out here and befriend him, and yeah, I'm gonna go find Tyler.
Aww,
What a
that's
good
so
idea.
sweet.
Yeah. I'll give him a big old hug for you, Katrina.
Okay.
I'll give him a big old kiss from you, Wade.
Oh,
Oh,
please don't do that.
my.
No. Well, it's wonderful to have you dropping in. Make sure to take the squealing baby goat that was next to you and on into Pandora, and maybe give it back to the petting zoo or whatever that was. And we will talk to you again real soon.
All right, see you guys.
Bye-bye. All right, Kingdom Report Live wraps up next.
Hey, Kingdom Team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we connect you to more of what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report Live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications at The Kingdom Report on YouTube. And catch every update throughout the week at Kingdom Report Live on social media. See you there!
And that about wraps things up for us here. It's so great to have been with you once again. If you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and ensure that you're heading on over to the Kingdom Report on YouTube to never miss an update. Thank you very much. All kinds of videos throughout the week, all kinds of updates for you throughout the week that you don't want to miss. And if you haven't already, make sure to give this video a big old thumbs up. Not only does it help the video perform, it also lets us know that we are on the right track with content for you. We will be back with you October 31st. So next Saturday, no show, unfortunately. We will miss you dearly, but we will see you on Halloween right back here for an all-new Kingdom Report Live. Katrina, what are you dressing as for Halloween?
I don't know.
Oh, God. I know. Oh, way to figure
I
it
haven't
out.
really thought about it, so at least I have a Saturday to kind of like plan now to like come in ready to go.
Figure it out.
You know, like we all need to do like, we need to like text each other and like make sure we know it's anybody's gonna dress up as, so we don't like, you know, double dip and we're both dressed up as the same thing.
What a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
No double dipping.
We can all dress up as Gared.
I love that idea. Just give me a fantastic head of hair and an eagerness, the likes of which you've never seen.
That's
all
right.
you need.
Yep.
Yeah. And a cool mask, too. All right, my friends, as always, a great pleasure to have been a part of your weekend. And head on over to kingdomreportlive.com to submit any sort of questions, comments, concerns that you might have. Also, ensure that you are standing by the legacy of Walt Disney, because it only exists. It only gets carried on because of people like you and I. We will see you back here October 31st, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for an all-new Kingdom Report Live.